Okay, so this is a special class for Bev. It's my last online class for a little while, I think. And it's been a real great journey. So I'm just gonna move my computer a little bit more back so my hands are becoming visible. Hopefully. So we'll start just standing up and listening to what you were saying, Bev. I'll try to focus on a few of those places. So with lower back, we don't really want to have lower back pains or annoyances, even discomfort. Because it's our support, it holds us all up. And very often when we have anywhere in the spine, when we have discomfort, we're going to start to compensate. And what happens then is we're going to get pain somewhere else. So that's how everything then trickles down to, oh, my little toe is hurting. And actually it's coming from somewhere into your spine because that's your backbone. So we're going to start with a mountain pose and placing the feet as wide as your hips, making sure your heels are pointing towards the center of your toes. So the outside of your feet is parallel to each other. So that might feel a little bit weird in your hips, especially if your feet normally point a little bit more out. But let's just explore this for a moment. So lift your toes and feel the arches lifting. So just that, just feeling the arches lifting. If you want to feel it more actively, drop your toes, lift your toes. So just that is a good practice also for calf muscles, but it's going to more contract them than stretch them. And then from here, let's come onto our toes and then come down. And now come onto the heels. So not just lifting the toes, but see how far we can go without falling back. And then bring the toes back down. And then just swaying a little bit from side to side, just seeing, where do I actually stand? Do I stand in the middle of my body, or maybe you're a little bit out if there is a lot of wind? So now just coming back. So let's just body sway back to the center. Lift your kneecaps and feel how this affects the rest of the body. So most probably the first thing that you feel is your quadriceps. And then inhale, lifting the belly button up a little bit, lifting the tailbone. So when we lift, I'm just gonna lift my t-shirt a little bit. So when we lift and lower my pants, no, this is not strip yoga, but so when we lift the belly button, we're almost automatically gonna drop the tailbone, which makes our back flatter. So usually this should feel a little bit more comfortable. When the tailbone is lifted, we're compressing the lower back. So what we want to try to find is space into this lower back, into the sacrum, the connection with the hips. So lifting, don't go too far. And then the chest is going to lift. Shoulders go back and down, but relax. Lengthen your neck. And then take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. And then placing the hands onto the hips, so your feet as wide as your hips, placing the hands onto the hips and very gentle, just to observe what happens, going towards the left. So twist is happening in your waist, not in the hips. So you just want to go, see how far you can get before there is pain happening into your lower back. And keep on breathing. So when we have pain, often we stop breathing. So we're going to force the movement without the breath, and then the muscle cannot move. So the muscle, imagine that the muscle is as your lungs. So inhaling, expansion, and then exhale, relaxation. And then coming back to center. Realign for a moment. So one breath here, and then exhale, go to the other side. And then coming back to center. Bending the knees, keeping the tailbone down. So again, when we bend the knees, often we're going to compensate by pressing our belly button forward, lifting the tailbone. So we want to bring the tailbone a little bit lower so that our spine remains neutral. Bending the knees a little bit more and a little bit more. So here you start to feel a stretch into your calf muscles on the back. So the sides, not so much, but on the back. Also lots of work in the quadriceps. And then lift your right heel up. Press your toes down and go a little bit deeper into your left knee. And a little bit deeper. So big stretch also in the ankle. So moving the knee in front of the toes will give a bigger stretch into the ankle. So don't start to lift your left heel. The left heel continues to press down. And then bring the right heel down and then do the same thing with the left heel. So lifting the left heel, maybe going a little bit down. And maybe observe differences, one side of stretch to the other. Press your left toes into the floor, go a little bit deeper. And then place both heels down and lift up. So if you need something to hold for stability, go for it. Otherwise, lift your right knee and start to make circles with your ankle. And then the other side. And then press your leg away. So your toes are pointing towards your face. Your heel is going away. It's a little bit the same as we do with the strap when we're on the floor. So really feeling from your hips. So be careful not to fall back. You want to keep that straight line legs, so Tadasana. Press one more time, lift maybe a little bit higher, and then come back down. Now bring that right leg. So we're still busy with the right leg. We bring it down, bring the toes down. Make sure you have a good stand. So you're on your toes here, and then start to, left leg is straight, start to press your back heel down and bring the weight into your back heel. So we're not, as we're doing sometimes this one, we're not spreading the weight onto both feet for the moment. We're really starting to see if we can bring more weight into the back heel. You can lift your front heel up to really go back a little bit more. Keep that leg straight. If it's bent, you're not doing a lot. So really straight. Activate also maybe the bum muscle. And then place the left heel down, hands onto the hips. Separate the weight between your 2 feet, and but continue to press the back heel into the floor, front foot down, and then go forward. So here, as you do this, your whole back leg will stretch. So maybe you only feel it at the top of your leg. Maybe you feel it in your calf muscles. Maybe you feel it in your little toe. Serious, I'm not kidding. That's sometimes where you feel it. So keeping the hips parallel with the front of the mat, just bending from the hip crease. Inhaling and exhaling. So continue pressing that back heel back. And then slowly coming up. And then place both feet together again. So feet as wide as your hips, hands onto your hips. Make sure you always come back to that mountain pose. And then lifting the right knee and making some circles with the ankle. Change direction. Maybe point and flex a few times. And then flex your foot and start to press your heel forward. Really pressing. So you're going to feel it in your quadriceps because it's lifting from your hips and affecting one of the 4 muscles in your quadriceps. So press into your supporting leg. Lift a little bit higher. Push the heel away. Bring your toes towards you. Even if you're here, if that's your maximum, that's fine. You just want to really focus on straight leg, pressing the heel forward. And then come down. And then again, bring the left foot back. Press the heel down. Both legs straight, and I'll bring the weight into the back. So I'm literally moving my weight back, and I can come on to my toes or my heel. Explore a little bit what works well for you to bring even more weight towards the back. So I'm really pressing back. And then bring the right heel or the right toes forward on the floor, sorry. Hips parallel with the front of the mat. Press both feet down, but especially your back heel. So you want to focus on that back heel. Front foot presses down, and then from your hip crease starting to go forward. Different sensations one side and the other. So only go as far as you can still breathe. You don't want to force these big muscles, but you don't want to back off out of fear. So we're on the right side now. So if your right lower back is hurting, this is going to help stretch the hamstrings a little, stretch the hamstring a little bit. And this is going to help give a little bit more space into the lower back. So pressing down, maybe you feel it somewhere else in your leg. The legs are straight. We're going to stay here a little bit longer on the right side. So hoping you are on your right side, because that seems to be the problem area. So inhale, exhale. And then press into your feet and come up. And then come back to the center. So it's important that if you notice, like for you, there's a pain on the right side, start ideally with your right side, do your full movement, then go to the left, and then go back to your right side. So what we just did, like especially this one where you go forward, you start with the right, you turn around, you stay 10 breaths, stay 10 breaths, and then go stay 10 breaths again. And if you do this every day, eventually you'll come to a balance where both are in the same condition, and then you can just do one. Okay. So coming back into our Tadasana, I'll be glad that the squeaky floor will be gone. Inhaling, reaching the arms up. So we're gonna create some space in the waist. Ideally, we have something to hold on, but we don't have anything to hold on, so we're gonna have to do it ourselves. So press your feet down, especially your heels, and then really start to wiggle yourself up. But imagine that from your hips, you're pressing down, and from your hips, you're lifting up. So creating that separation in your body at the height of your hips. So we wanna wiggle, 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 wiggle up. We're doing this symmetrically. So we could go to one side or the other, but then we're really just opening one side, compressing the other. So for the moment, we want to really lengthen out. Lengthen out. One more. Press your feet down, because we might have a tendency to forget about the lower part. So press the feet down, activate the legs so they can help, and press down. And then inhale, lift up. And then exhale. Come down. Take a breath in and a breath out. So if you have a bar, you come into a park, kids park or something, it's always good to go and hang a little bit, and then bending the knees, not just hanging like a doll. It's good for your spine to hang. But if you are with someone, asking that person to put gentle weight onto your hips, so that the lower body becomes heavier while you are hanging, and creating a little bit more space here. Most important is to continue breathing. So if you feel that your breath is becoming more difficult, then you tell the person to back off, and you just, when you come back, you just relax. You stand straight. You're not going to immediately go like this, because then with all the space that's created, you're a little bit more mobile. So you want to recenter your body before you start to do crazy things. Inhale, reach up. This time, grab the right wrist with the left arm. And again, just lengthening first, pressing the feet down. Take a deep breath in, lengthening. And this time, we're gonna go over to the side. So make sure both feet are pressing down into the floor. Equal weight. Hips, so the right hip, because you're going to the left, the right hip is going to lift a little bit more. So we don't want that. We want to keep that hip going down. So maybe you have to go back a little bit and then press your right foot down. So what you could do, if your balance is good, and you could do this on the steps, on the stairs. So you could be here and I really find that length. So I'm on my toes here. I'm trying to push my heel down, and at the same time, I'm lengthening in my upper body. Actually feels really good. And then coming back and release. So when you do bends with your spine, always take a breath or two to come back to the center. So again, if you have a step, if you are on stairs or a book or something, you can do this. So inhale first, grab the left wrist. I want to step up, grab the left wrist, strong feet, strong legs, lengthen out, and then go to the right. So automatically, this is all gonna follow, but we really want to keep the hip down. So again, if you want, going here, stretching over, pushing the heel down, the left heel down, stretching a little bit more. And then coming back and release. So we're gonna do one more here. I find when you put your hand on your shoulders, you're really gonna go get the length into your ribs. So feet solidly planted down, hands onto the shoulders, take a breath in, lengthen your spine as much as possible. So again, watch out when you lengthen that your tailbone doesn't come up too much. So it's a natural reflex that we think we can find more space when we lift the tailbone. So just keeping the spine as neutral as possible. So inhale, and then exhale, start to bring the left elbow down, the right elbow up. So here there's very little happening now in the waist, in the hips. So if we would go and stretch fully, then we go again what we did before. So we just want to go and see if we can focus on the ribs. So lifting that right elbow, bring the left elbow down. You can bring your left arm down as well. But really going for that opening of the ribs and then coming back. And then going to the other side, so lifting the left elbow, right elbow goes down, or right arm goes down, opening up. So if you would go too far, you're gonna compress into the right waist, which, because your hip is stable, you take that compression. So you wanna really work on this upper part. So your ribs opening up, and then coming back to center and just release a little bit. So let's come to the front of the mat. I want to move a little bit as well. So come to the front of the mat, take a breath in. Maybe just open and close your hands here a few times. We worked on the feet, so let's not leave the hands behind. And then relax, mountain pose. Let's inhale, bring the arms up. Exhale, bend your knees. So focusing again on the calf muscles. Bring the hips back, toes can dance, hips go back. And then exhale, come forward. Keep the knees bent, bring the belly onto your thighs. Drop your head, drop your upper body, let go. Exhale, let go. Exhale, let go. Placing the hands down, bring the right foot back. So keep your hands onto the floor, press your right heel back as much as you can. You can walk your left foot a little bit more forward, and then bring your left hand on the inside of your left foot. And start to press into your hands so you can press your right heel even more back. Start to lengthen your spine. We're just going to stay here. And then bring the left hand back onto the outside of the left foot and hop your right foot forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine, lengthen your legs, reach your heart forward, neck in line with the spine. Take a few breaths here. And then exhale, fold forward. So bend your knees as much as you need. No discomfort into the lower back. Dropping the head. And then with your next inhale, see if you can stretch out your legs a little bit. So if you have fear, most probably your muscles are going to be very tense. So if that's the case, so fear of hurting yourself, I mean. So if that's the case, then just stay here and see if you can relax before you start to stretch out your legs. So very gradually, very gently. And then bring the fingertips down, the hands down, and bring the left foot back. Press your left heel back. So your left leg is very strong, very straight. You can walk your right foot a little bit more forward and then bring the right hand on the inside. The reason we do this is just to have a little bit more ground, and if your hand is on the outside, your thigh might be too high. So, and then press your heel away and now start to lengthen your upper body. A couple of breaths here. And then bring your right hand back on the outside and hop your left foot forward. Inhale again, long spine, long legs, long neck. And exhale. And see where we are now. Like my belly is on my thighs. Can I lift my, can I lengthen my legs a little bit more? Dropping the head, relaxing in the hips. Every exhale, maybe I'll go a little bit deeper. Maybe it's absolutely not visible, but you feel things happening in your body. And then placing the hands down, bring the left foot back and the right foot back and come onto your knees. So plank, we come into a plank onto our knees. Lengthen your spine for a moment. Inhale and press into your hands and come towards your heels. So press your hands down, roll the shoulders out. Inhale, come back up. And this time, turn your hands towards the corners of your mat. So your left index finger is pointing towards the left corner, your right index finger towards the right. Come into your plank. So automatically, if you look at the eye of your elbows, it's pointing forward. And then press yourself back again. And feel your upper back being wide open. So your shoulders are rolled open now. Press your thumb and your index into the floor. And by all means, you can tuck your toes here. That's going to give an extra stretch to your calf muscles. So press your fingers down, strong arms. So the position of your shoulders and the sensation in your upper back, this is what we should feel when we bring our hands back, index finger pointing forward, bring the eye of the elbow out to the front, and then coming down. So very often, because our hands are guiding our shoulders, very often we're going to collapse again into our shoulders. So see if you can really roll the shoulders out to have that same sensation in the upper back. And then press your hips back. So we're creating space again into the spine here. So same thing, if we would have something to hold on here, then we could really, really go down. And then coming back up. And then I was just thinking of something. So you can do this at your sink. So holding onto the sink. And then first of all, just a stretch like this to straight legs, straight spine. The second one, a little step forward. You hold onto the sink and you let your weight fall down. And then the third one, you're even closer. And then it's just holding just holding and let everything drop down. It's going to create a lot of length into your spine. But we were here. So hands to the front. We're going to go into downward dog. Tuck your toes and then start to lift your hips. So press into your hands. And again, roll those shoulders out. Lengthen your spine, neutral spine. And then now lift your left heel and lengthen your right leg and press your right heel down. Really long leg here. Press all you can with your left heel. Going down to the floor. Press into both your hands. We're going to stay here for 3 more breaths. And then change sides. So go to the left. Go a total of 6 breaths. And then let's go back to the right for 3 breaths, just to see if we can find a little bit more place into the calf muscle. And then bending both knees, lifting both hips, and now bringing both heels down. So a perfect example here of one side not being equal with the other would be that, oh, my left heel can touch the floor, but my right heel doesn't, but I'm still going to touch my left heel down, and my right heel is going to fly somewhere above the mat. So what happens? I'm going to compensate in my spine here. And then I'm compensating with my shoulders and because my hands are steady, they're pushing the same weight. So if you feel there's a disalignment or a discomfort somewhere, make the strong side help the weak side, not the reverse. Not the strong side even diminish the weak side more. And now walk your hands back. Keep your legs straight as far as you can. So watch your lower back, no discomfort, but coming all the way onto both our feet. And then drop your head. Now we want to make the legs straight. So just place your hands for a moment onto your thighs if that's what you need. Drop your head. Take a breath in and then walk. Come onto your fingertips, keeping the heels on the floor. Legs are straight. So maybe you kind of like, oh, I need to be here. I don't see you, but whatever works. So pressing the heels down. So we specifically working on pressing the heels down. Don't worry too much about your spine for the moment, unless your lower back hurts. And then walk your hands a little bit more forward. Maybe you can press your palms down and press your heels down, and that should give you the best stretch in the calf muscles. So we're still working on the back of the calf muscles. At least that's what I feel. So don't bend your knees. Keep your legs straight and then walk a little bit more forward. So the back becomes straighter and straighter, but press into your hands, come onto the heels. One more step forward, almost in a full downward dog now. And then bring the knees down. Untuck your toes. And let's come and sit onto our heels. Inhaling, exhaling. We're going to turn around and grab your strap if you have it, or a belt or a scarf or anything. I hope you have one. And bring the right leg forward. The left leg can be to the side, or you can keep it straight if your knee hurts. So whatever works for you. We're going to put the strap around our right foot. So when we put a strap around the foot, we want to place it on the ball of our toes. We don't want to place it in the arch, because then we're really going to force the arch. I don't remember how many bones there are in the foot, but it's a lot. So roll the shoulders back, and with the strap onto the balls of the foot, see if you can pull your toes a little bit more towards you. Leg is straight, spine is neutral. Your elbows are bent, so you can take the strap closer to you. But so go gently, don't pull until you can't breathe. Just inhale and exhale. There's not gonna be a lot of movement, but you definitively will feel some stretch here. And then release and change sides. So what you do with your right leg is really how you can stay seated the most comfortable. Placing the strap on the ball of your toes, not below, because if you're gonna start pulling from here, sometimes you put a lot of force on it, and yeah, maybe not the best. So straight spine, so prepare your pose all the time and then start to pull in. Maybe you notice differences here, one side to the other. It's possible that your heel is lifting. So see if you can, depending on how thick your calf muscles are, how muscled they are. And then coming back and release. Both legs are to the front. Bring the strap around both feet. So make sure your elbows can be to your side. Maybe separate your feet a little bit. So I know with the strap, the feet are gonna easily press into each other. So if you have a blanket or a pillow or even a block, you can put that in between your feet. And then let's see if we can do the same thing. It's not gonna be very easy. So same thing, so pressing the heels away, bring the balls of the feet towards you. Lengthen the spine. So don't start to go like, I'm not going forward. I'm really in a L form. My elbows are back, my chest is nice and open. My belly button is lifted as if I was in Tadasana. And my feet are actually also in Tadasana. I just have this bend in my hips. And then release. So you can put this away for now. Place your hands in the back and then start to bring your right toes towards the right. So the movement is gonna happen into your hip. So roll out, roll out, roll out. If you wanna go a little bit further, so bring your hands maybe a little bit closer, you can gently place your left foot down, but without lifting your left bum. So your left heel comes onto your right foot. Maybe you don't feel anything because your outward rotation is good. So toes up, do the same thing with the left. So don't force in the knee. The restriction is gonna be in your hip. So be very mindful about that. And then again, you can place your right foot on the left. Coming back to center. Separate your feet a little bit more. This time, bring the right foot towards the inside, and then with your toes or whatever you can reach. So my left knee is bent here. I'm trying to go a little bit further. Watch out for the knee. It's not the knee that's gonna give the flexibility. Here, it's the ankle and the hip. And then same thing on the other side. Just observing a little bit. We don't really do any stretches. We just want to see what is our flexibility in the ankle, the hips, inward and outward rotation. And coming back to center. Maybe just move your toes, bend your knees, and place them wider than your hips. So now you can gently lean back. I would suggest your fingers are pointing back so that your chest remains open. And then bring the right knee down and the left knee down. So both towards the right. And so depending if inward or outward rotation is a little bit more difficult for you, one of the knees might be floating up in the air. And then coming back to center and then going to the other side. So good exercise here for the hips, which is also bringing some flexibility. And this time it brings a flexibility with the connection to the heels and the foot, and also on the outward for the inward rotation. So when you go inward, it's the outward that's stretching. And then coming back to center. And I just want to do one more standing. So come back to a standing pose. It's a little bit more focused today. So placing the hands on the hips and take a big step back with your right foot and place your right foot at about 45-degree angle. So we are going to go into a warrior one. So adjust your stand accordingly. Maybe your foot doesn't have to be turned out that much. And then start to bend into your front knee, but continue to press into your back foot and see what happens in your back leg. So we're not going to go into the full pose. And we also don't want to curve the spine. So keep the spine neutral. Maybe walk your front foot a little bit more forward, but press into your back foot. And then lengthen your leg. And now we're going to turn the foot a little bit more out. So not 90 degrees, but just a little bit. And then coming back. And then pressing down. So inside of the leg might be stretching a little bit or working a little bit. So it's that combination of strength and stretch here. Press into the back foot. And then come back up. Again, pivot onto the back heel. Bring the toes now more in. So press your heel down. So both feet are almost pointing towards the same side. And then start to press into your front knee. Press, or bend your front knee. Press into the back heel. So exploring where is the stiffness on the outside of my calf. How can I help? So of course, other muscles, like a muscle is never alone. So you can have stiffness if you're in your little toe because there's muscles pulling on the side of your body that are shortening, and then the stiffness expresses itself into your little toe. So just finding like where can I work so I can relieve that place. And then press into your front foot and let's turn side. So first we're gonna start with the foot about 45 degrees. Right foot points forward and then start to bend your front knee. Pressing the back heel, pressing the back heel into the floor. And then coming up. Turning the foot a little bit more out. So we want to be careful when we do this. It's the flexibility again has to come from the hips, not from the knee. Press your heel into the floor, especially the outside. Turn your hips towards the front of the mat and then come down. So bending. So the front knee is your stable leg now. We're exploring with the back leg. And then coming up. And then this time turn your feet almost in line with your front foot. So press your heel down to start with and then start to go down. Continuing to press, 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 press. And then coming back up and coming to the center. So the one that I showed you before, to go onto the step, very good. This will stretch most of your calf muscles. So I would suggest to do it whenever you can as you go up and down the stairs, maybe just do a couple of breaths. So let's come back to the front of our mat. Take a deep breath in and a long breath out. Inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold forward very gently. Inhale, long spine. So place your hands onto your thighs, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold forward, bring your hands down. Right foot back, left foot back. Come into your plank. And then knees down, chest down, chin down. And inhale into your cobra. So gentle cobra. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Few breaths here. And again, if you feel that, oh, I need a little bit more stretch on my right side or my left side, take advantage of being in the downward dog, where you have quite a lot of control which muscles you're gonna use. And if your wrists are hurting, don't hesitate to come into dolphin here. If you're working purely on your legs, lifting up your hips, bring your head in between your arms to open the shoulders, and then work onto your legs. So a little bit more challenging for the legs here. Don't sink into your belly. So keep your spine neutral, continue to lift your hips and pressing the heels down. And then coming down. And we're gonna turn onto our back. Grabbing a block or a pillow, whatever can hold between your knees and has maybe a risk of falling out, and you wanna press it together. So a towel, a tight roll towel would work as well, whatever you have. So bring the feet as wide as your hips, your knees press into the block. Place your arms alongside your body, your palms are down, and just lift your shoulders for a moment and roll them under. So not towards each other, but shoulder blades are going down. Press your hands into the floor and then lift your hips up. Press into your block. Press into your block. Continue pressing into your arms. And then slowly coming down. Take the block away. And now lift your left leg and cross it over your right thigh. So same as the number 4 that we do for a hip opener. Keep your left foot onto the floor. Your arms are alongside your body. And we're going to do the same thing, but lifting the hips now. So lifting the hips. See if you can press your left knee a little bit more down. Your breath should be calm. Maybe you can press a little bit higher. Bring the left knee a little bit lower. And then release. Bring the left foot down. Same thing with the right. So right ankle just past your left thigh. Don't be on your kneecap. Flex your right foot and then start to press into your foot, lifting the hips, press into your hands to come a little bit higher, and then see if you can bring your right knee a little bit more down without collapsing into your right hip. So the hips are going up equally, but we want to open up the hip, the right hip a little bit more. Two more breaths. And then release. So we're gonna do one more here. It's a variation of a happy baby. So lift your upper body and grab your foot. If you can, interlace your hands in the back of your foot. So your fingers, your toes can rest onto the front of your foot. If this is too much, you grab against your strap. And then start to press your foot into your hands and pull your foot back with your hands. So we're creating that counter force. So pressing the foot away, pulling your hands towards you, your shoulders. I want to bring them down. So my knee is quite close to my chest here, but it's more important to really feel that pressure. So I'm actually working into the deep muscles of the hip here. Take a deep breath in. We're going to let go of the foot. So suddenly you're going to let go of your hands. And then release. And then we're going to do the other side. So bending the left knee, interlacing your hands, push your foot into your hands into your foot, and eventually maybe bring your head down, your shoulders down. So really quite a lot of counter force acting here. So stay here for 4 or 5 breaths. So lots of work in the arms here. Really press your foot away and then get ready to release. So inhale, and let your foot fall down. Open your arms in the so your legs are already in Shavasana. Deep release in the inner thighs. Take a breath in and then lift your left arm up and reach as far away as you can. Your right arm is resting onto the floor. Now see if you can bring the shoulder down. So maybe you're gonna have to move your arm a little bit out of straight up, but see if you can really find a place where you can bring your whole shoulder down. And then bring your left arm in a T. And same thing on the right side. So reaching up, finding that spot. As you're finding, you might be playing a little bit with your shoulder. Your armpit might be rolling a little bit more to the ceiling. Make sure your legs remain relaxed. So we're just working with the upper body here. And then release both arms in a T. So my lower body is like already in Shavasana. I'm not doing anything with my hips. I'm gonna use my abs just a little bit, but I'm gonna first place my hands behind my head, interlace my fingers, come back down, opening the elbows. And then with as much as possible with your arms, with your hands, you're gonna lift your head up. Start to lengthen your neck, so pulling the skin of your skull away from you. Trying to relax the abdominals here. Lifting up. Elbows can point forward, or you can keep them to the side, but we're opening the back of our neck and our upper body. So can you relax in your belly? And then very slowly continue to pull the skull of the skin of your skull to the back, very gently, bringing one vertebra at a time down to the floor. Your head is the last one, and then go down. And then bring your arms into your Shavasana. Relax your face, your jaw, your forehead. So if you feel like staying here, stay. Otherwise, start to reconnect with your breath. Take a deep breath in and then a long, deep exhale through the mouth, letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. Gently move your feet, your hands, maybe your elbows, placing the hands onto your belly for a moment. Taking a deep breath in, feel your belly rising. And if not, don't get upset or whatever. It's just what it is. Don't worry about it. And then inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. Stay here for one breath. And then exhale, bring your knees into your chest. And then gently roll over to your right side, coming up into a comfortable seated position. Thank you so much, Bev, for everything.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's a beautiful journey with you.
It's a good journey with you.
Yeah.
So lots of luck on your new adventure, but you got to keep tabs and let me know what you're doing.
Yeah. So my plan is to, as soon as I have some